Welcome to the Nerdstalgic podcast with your host, the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm. Nerdstalgic with the Ginger Bookworm.
Howdy folks, and welcome back to another exciting episode of Nerdstalgic with me, your host Luke. Hope you're doing well, hope you're all good. Today I've got a really, to us, I think is a really exciting topic that's going to last me hopefully all year, maybe into next year, depending on how long it takes me to get through all this. But if you've looked at the title, bit of spoilers, but if you've jumped straight in, I'll let you know right now what we're going to do. So basically, this topic I've been planning out and thinking for ages, and I know this is a weird thing to start on, but it's the one that I have, and if it's successful, then I'll look into doing more. But bit of a side story, bit of a side quest. Growing up, being somebody who didn't have any pocket money, and their parents, if you were lucky, you'd only get one game every 2 to 3 months. I've spoke about this before in prior episodes, but it was very rare that I'd get a game. And when I did get a game, it would always be like, well, I want to get one that's got a bit of substance. Now, in hindsight, me being me and being a lover of video games and being in the know of games, I know what games are worth buying and what are not worth buying and how long they are and what you get out of them and X, Y, and Z. The issue being is when I was a young bean, when I was a younger bean, a really small sort of petite bean, shall we say, because I'm still a young bean now. But when I was a young'un, I didn't know all that knowledge, so I would mostly just pick games that I feel like would be quote unquote safe. That would be, I know that I would enjoy, even if, potentially if they weren't long or short, that I would get some enjoyment out of them. And 9 times out of 10, I would always choose a movie tie-in game. I know we joke about and we make fun of movie tie-in games and we say, they're short, they're silly, they're simple, they're rushed. And that is fair comments. You could say whatever you want about movie tie-in games. More than likely, you'll be correct because they were. If you had, for example, the video game that I'm going to be talking about today, the Kung Fu Panda game, take away what I'm going to say about it in a minute, and we're just going to put it into the context of how video games, tie-in video games are done. It could be the fact of, okay, so Kung Fu Panda comes out in, say, 6 to 8 months. You have now 6 to 8 months to make a video game. Or even 6 to 8 months to a year to make a game. Now, in all fairness, that can be done, but you couldn't expect, world-class, revolutionary gaming. You would think, okay, what's the easiest, simplest forms? And in terms of Kung Fu Panda, okay, it's a fighting game. All right, that's fine. We can do fighting mechanics. We don't have to work so hard on the animations because again, it's for kids. So we don't have to work hard on the animations. So we won't have to spend loads of money there. We won't have to spend so much on the gameplay. We won't have to spend so much on the story because the story's already done. So it can be done, and it has been done many times, and some are good, some are bad. But I grew up with movie tie-in games. I love movie tie-in games. So I figured everybody does game reviews, everybody does movie reviews, but you never really see many people talk about movie tie-in video games. So I figured I'm going to be the one to spearhead it. I'm going to give it a go. And today, I figured I'm just going to jump in and have the one. I went into my brother's room because my brother has all my old Xbox 360 games as well as ones that he's had himself. And I went in, and the first one I saw was Kung Fu Panda. And it really caught my eye because, like, obviously on the front, you've got DreamWorks, Kung Fu Panda, you've got Po doing a high kick, you've got Tigress, you've got Monkey, and you've got Shifu. So all really incredible. Turn it on the back. You've got Kung Fu Panda style, and obviously different bit of cutscenes of the game, bits of information. So you've got master your Kung Fu skills as Po, Shifu, and the Furies 5. Face dangerous foes on a legendary Kung Fu journey. Team up with or battle against friends in multiplayer mode. I'm going to talk about the multiplayer. I managed to get around to playing it. It's actually not that bad, but I'll get into it. And then you've got the brief synopsis where it's like, embark on an epic, action-packed adventure based on DreamWorks animation movie Kung Fu Panda. Then go beyond the movie as you experience Kung Fu awesomeness like never before on your quest to become the legendary Dragon Warrior. This game was made by Luxoflux. I will get into in a minute the games that Luxoflux have made. They haven't made many, but you might recognize a few of the games they've made. Part of Activision, obviously, we all know how Activision. Yeah, they haven't always been great, but that's a topic for another day. And obviously, in works for DreamWorks. So the game took my eye, and it being the first game, I thought this is only going to be a short review. This is not going to be a very long one. There are other movie tie-in games that I have from Disney, from Pixar, from other ones that I've been on eBay. I found loads for cheap that I'm going to look into doing. That if this is successful, if you like what I'm doing here, then I will look into getting more. And as well, I love playing on the Xbox 360. It's such nostalgia for me, as well as nostalgia going back playing old movie tie-in games I played when I was younger, or like Kung Fu Panda, wanted to play. I remember playing the demo, but never actually having the game. So going back and actually playing the game now that I wanted to play when I was younger, and playing it on a console that I have tons of nostalgia for, is extra nostalgia. And that's what we do here at Nerdstalgic. We get nerdy, we get nostalgic, we have loads of fun, and we talk about it. I say we, it's me, and you listen. So yeah, great. But yeah, Kung Fu Panda. So before I get into it, I want to talk about Luxoflux before we get into it. So, Luxoflux. Luxoflux. I have no idea why I decided to sing their company name. But, right, so these are the games that Luxoflux made. Again, you might recognize a few, you might not recognize them. I know at least 3 of them. The others I have never played. So, in no particular order. So you've got, in 2003, they made True Crime Streets of LA. And in 2005, they made True Crime New York. Never played either of them. If you have, let me know. I think they were on the PlayStation, most likely on the PlayStation 2. But I never played them. You've got Vigilante 8, Second Offensive from 1999. Vigilante 8, they had 2 versions of Vigilante 8, must be special editions, but that came in 1998 as well. Star Wars Demolition, never heard of it. Shrek 2, 2004. Side Quest, Shrek 2. I played it. I loved it as a kid. I think I had it on the PlayStation 2. Bit of a side quest. My memories of Shrek 2 was, I remember it was a sunny day. I'm in the car and we went to Asda. Don't know why we went to Asda. I can't really remember. But I was only little, like 2004. I was still a very young, petite, young bean, young little pea. And my sister's in the car, my mum's sitting in the front, and my dad's ran in to get something in Asda. Hot day. I remember it specifically because it was a hot day and we were dying, and we had the windows down, and it was sweltering. My dad's gone for ages, or what feels like for ages. Anyway, he comes back, and what my dad used to do, whenever he used to surprise us, whether it be with a game or film or sweets or something like that, he would always hide it under his shirt or like in his coat or jacket pocket. Obviously, it's summer, so he's hid it, up his shirt. So he's come round, opened the boot, put stuff in the boot, and you can hear him rustling about, and obviously he puts something under his shirt. Again, it's a hot day. I'm not really paying much attention. My dad's obviously shut the boot, come around the side, got in the driver's seat. Before he starts the car, he gets sweets out, like something from, so I think fags for my mom, sweets for my sister, and then he puts his game over. He goes, "Oh, here you go, check this out." And in my hands is Shrek's face. Because obviously, I grew up with Shrek. I was born in 98, so Shrek is very much part of my childhood. It's like a cornerstone of my being. So to see Shrek's big, green, detailed face was a bit of a shock. Be like, oh my god, look, it's Shrek. And I remember going home, playing it, loving it, enjoyed it. It's not, like, granted, looking back on it now, like, I've seen gameplay on it now. It is a bit rough, and it's not the best game. But, like, for what a kid's game, what it is, and again, a movie tie-in game, it's quite fun. I always had great enjoyments of, like, you'd go through the different levels, and it would follow the story of Shrek 2, but it would blur the line. And I loved it when movie tie-in games did, where they would follow the story, but it be different. Some movie tie-in games would just follow the film or the movie or TV show, verbatim. But I always used to enjoy it when you would get a movie tie-in game and it would follow the story of the film or whatever, but it would go off and it would do its own thing, or it'd be like, oh, this is what happened while they were traveling to, say, far, far away. You know, I like that. I like that. For me, as a young kid, it would be like, oh, I feel like I'm seeing something new. I feel like I'm the only one. I feel like I'm seeing something special. So I always loved it when they did that. But that's a little side story with me and Shrek 2. I no longer have it. I think I got rid of it when I got rid of my PlayStation 2. But I had many, many fun memories there. Anyway, back onto Luxor Flux and the games they've made. So they did Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen, the video game for 2009. Didn't play that one. I played the Transformers movie tie-in game for the first Transformers film. I think I had that on the Xbox, but I never played Revenge of the Fallen, so I don't know if it's any good or not. Obviously, they made Kung Fu Panda 2008, and then they made Pitfall 3D Beyond the Jungle in 1998. From looking at, obviously, Wikipedia is never a great place to look, but I wanted to see if there was like, because I think I explained this when I did my prototype episode. I talked about how EA and Activision are quite ruthless in, like, if a company doesn't do as well as they expect or hope, what they would do is put them in limp mode or supportive mode, where it's basically like, well, you're no longer going to make any original IP. We're going to make you help us with whatever leading sort of franchise we have, and in Activision's case it's Call of Duty, and then Luxor Flux would probably go on to do Call of Duty. So that's what I wanted to see, if that's what Luxor Flux are doing now. It turns out, in a bit of a shame, again, being somebody who went to university and learned about game design and learned about how the business works, this rings true. And obviously being in with the game knowledge as well, and being in the industry and basically seeing how it all works and growing up with it, again, this rings quite true as well. It's a shame, but these things happen. But in 2002, Activision announced it had purchased Luxor Flux, which at the time was working on True Crime Streets of LA. The studio delivered the game and its sequel, True Crime New York City, before working on licensed titles like Kung Fu Panda and Transformers: Revenge of the Fallen and Shrek. And then on February the 11th, 2010, Activision announced it was time to shut down the studio as a widespread staff reduction that also included the shuttering of underground development. I have no idea what that is, but I'm guessing it's another company. But it's a shame. It really is. Like, whenever you see a company that starts off and it's a small team and they slowly grow and they make their own games, and then they get acquired by a big studio, and next thing you know, it's been like, yeah, we've been acquired by a big studio. It's our chance we've now got funding. We can now make whatever we want. And that funding is like, no, 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 no. We have gotten the movie game license rights to Shrek. You're going to make Shrek 2. Okay, we'll make Shrek 2. That'll help us, which prove us we can do what we can do. And, we have the more money and funding. It's great. We can hire more people. After that, we can make our own IP. It's like, no, 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 no. You're going to make Kung Fu Panda. Okay, yeah, fine. I'll do Kung Fu Panda. Yeah, more money, more funding. Yeah, okay. And then after that, we can make our own IP. No, you're doing Transformers 2. Yeah, fine. Okay, cool. Yeah, no problem. What? Okay, fine. Yeah, we'll do it. Yeah, no problem. And now can we make our own IP? We're shutting you down. I laugh, and it's mean to laugh, because these are jobs. At the end of the day, these are real people, real creatives, people who generally enjoyed what they're doing. Like, game design is a hard business to get into. So when you get into it, and then to be and to basically be able to start your own company and make whatever you want, and then get bought out by a huge company, to eventually the huge company being like, you're gonna do what we tell you to do. You can't do your own thing, is a bit of a letdown. And then I think I would rather be let go than be made for the rest of my life to be made Call of Duty. You know what I mean? I would rather be let go and go off and join another studio or start my own company than stay and make COD. In all fairness. So I think, even though we joke and it is a shame that the team got disbanded and the company shut down, I think it's not so bad in terms of, at least they're not stuck on making Call of Duty for the rest of their lives. But that's Luxor Flux. I've played a few of their games. I've played Kung Fu Panda. I played Shrek 2. I enjoyed them. Didn't play the Streets of LA, so I don't know if they're any good or not. But if you played them, let me know on Twitter if you liked them. But let's get on to Kung Fu Panda now, shall we? Let's get on to the actual short review. Like, the reason why I taken so long in the introduction and talking about Luxor Flux and so on and so forth is because this is only going to be a short review. This is not going to be one I'm going to spend hours and hours talking about. It's literally going to be a short, under hopefully 30-minute sort of review in total, with me actually talking about the game itself within 5 to 10 maybe, depending on how long it takes me, how much I waffle. I'll try to keep it concise as much as possible. But let's get on to Kung Fu Panda. Let's get into the movie tie-in game, shall we? Okay, let's go. Right, so to start off, the story. Wow, there's not much to say about the story. It follows mostly in tandem, almost identically, really, with the film. You know, instead of going through the lot of the expose and trying to build character, it just takes you some of the most important bits of the film. So you've got the bit where Po finds out he's a dragon warrior, and then you've got the bit where Tai Lung escapes from prison. So you've got to get the Furious Five, go track him down. Then you've got Po training with Shifu. You've got that scene, and then you got Shifu battling Tai Lung. And then once Shifu gets defeated, then Po comes in. You have a big fight at the end. Game ends. Honestly, the story is very cut and dry. There's not much to say about it. Like I said, if you've seen the film, you played the game basically, which was to be expected. Which, you know, I wasn't going to be like, oh my god, they've tried something new. I'm like, I get it, it's a kids game. You know, I don't expect to be blown away. I let my little brother play it first. So I thought, in all fairness, let him play it. He's, you know, the audience for it. Get his views on it. So I left him to play while I was upstairs doing something else. I've come back downstairs, and within 3 hours, I'd say 2.5 hours to be safe. He'd finished it from start to finish. It was done. I was like, "You done?" He was like, "Yeah, I don't know." And I was like, "What do you think?" It was like, "It was good." I was like, "Well, for the amount of time that you played and what you experienced in story and gameplay, because because how can I explain it? For his birthday, he asked for old games because, again, Xbox One and PlayStation. Obviously, we're still waiting for new games, and they're really expensive. And he still likes to play his Xbox 360 because he's got most of his games on there. So, you know, for his birthday, he went out and, you know, we got some games for him. And I said to him, I went, for the money that was paid for this game, would you buy it again for knowing now how long the game is? And he went, yeah. I said, I enjoyed the gameplay. The story was, you know, it was just like the film, but it was fun. So, you know, he finished it within sort of 2.5 hours. Again, when I played it, again, I had finished it in the same amount of time. I think I finished it a lot quicker, and not because I am a better gamer than him. It's because of a cheat that I found. And I'll get into that when I get into the gameplay. But in terms of the story, you know, like, it's not a very long story. Again, it's not going to take you very long to complete it. It's not even great in terms of achievements either. Like, I am an achievement whore. I love achievements on the Xbox. And so I like playing old games because, especially old movie tie-in games, literally all you have to do is just, in some games, just press the start button and you get like 5 to 10G. When I first played, my first ever game I played on my 360 was the Simpsons movie game, and you got for pressing the start button, I think you got 5 or 10 gamer score just for pressing start. You know, so some of these games are quite simple. Some of them are, you know, they don't hand them out like candy. Some do, some don't. But, you know, the story's all right. And there are some parts of the story where they'll take you out and they'll be like, okay, so we'll follow on the main story of the game, but we'll show you extended scenes. We'll show you extended gameplay, as I should call it, really. Of just like, this is what happened during the training with Shifu. We only saw a bit of it in the movie. Here's the extended of what actually happened while they were training. And they tried to extend the length of the game by adding in new enemies, adding in sort of like I think it's called the Buffalo Clan, or something like that. It's basically pigs and buffaloes, warthogs, stuff like that. You know, they're like a clan of bandits, and you've got to take them out and sort of protect the village, and that's how you learn as Po to fight. And you meet like these like cat witches. Pardon me, trapped wind. Sorry about that. You meet some of these like cat witches that like teleport, and they get in behind you, and you've got to fight them. So they do change things in terms of the story, but overall it's very cut and dry. You know, you can get it done within, you know, if you're really, really good, and if you follow the trick that I'm going to tell you in a minute for the gameplay, you can get it done very quickly. As for gameplay, as I said, it was simple but fun, not very challenging. That was until I learned a new skill. Basically, part of this game is that once you kill enemies or you break boxes, you get coins, and with these coins, you can then spend them on upgrades. Whether you can be upgrades for health, upgrades on defense or block, or upgrades on how powerful your punches are. So when you punch somebody, the more damage you do. Not that you really need it. As I said, this game is relatively easy. Even if you play it on like the harder difficulty, it's still very, very easy. But one of the things that I found is that Poe can do these special moves. So you got one where it's called a belly bash, where he pushes his belly out and he bumps them and they like pinball off the map, which is quite fun. And he does one where he can do this like really powerful heavy attack with his fist and kind of like a 1-inch punch sort of thing with the palm. I'm not sure what the technical term of what it's called, but like he does this thing with his palm and he kind of pushes them away. Or my favorite, and if after this review, if I've convinced you enough to go and play Kung Fu Panda, one of the biggest tricks I can recommend you do is go onto the upgrade tree, go for the belly flop, and upgrade the belly flop to as much as you can, and then every single enemy, whether it be a small sort of nonsense, like tiny little NPC enemy that's like cannon fodder, just like what they throw at you, to the really big enemies, or even to the boss battles. I have to laugh because when I figured this out, I was like, oh, I've just broke the game. Is the fact of if you fully upgrade this belly flop, if you just because once you get into the animation, no matter how much enemies are hitting you, that animation won't be stopped. So you jump in the air, you flip up, and you do a belly flop off the ground, and it causes a huge damage effect around you. But if you fully upgrade it, it will kill everything in one hit. You go dum boom, dead. Big enemies, ba-dum, 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 2-3 times, dead. Last enemy, when you're facing against Xiaolong, to test that theory, I was like, I wonder. So it's a 3-stage battle. So each stage you do, you take a bit of his health off, then the game will go on, and then he will gain a bit more health, and we do the second stage, and then go off, and he'll come back on the last stage and have a little bit more health. So I didn't punch him, I didn't hit him, I didn't follow the game mechanics at all. What you should be doing is like taking all your moves that you've learned and use all the different sort of combos to beat him. I didn't. I just belly flopped, and it took so much of his health down. And we were going through the stages, and I showed my little brother. I was like, look at this. So he watched me on the last battle and what I did, and he was like, "But you're not meant to do that." I was like, "I know, but I can." So it's a kids game, you know what I mean? You've got to find enjoyment out of this. Not that I wasn't enjoying it, but you've got to find a way to kind of get as much enjoyment as possible. You got to cheese it. So once I found that I could fully upgrade my belly flop, it became so easy that I swear like a baby could play it on its hardest difficulty. If you taught that baby to press A, and then once you pressed A to press, I think it was either X or B, then that baby could play that game quite proficiently and complete it. I'm not joking. It's that powerful. It's that simple to do. And like I said, once you get hit, the animation is not interrupted at all. You jump in the air, do the animation, and do the damage. That you can just play this whole game doing that. Yes, it's not as fun, and it can be a bit boring, and kind of breaks the whole sort of point of the quote unquote kung fu, being a master, learning how to play kung fu in the game. But it's there. It's the whole point of me as the reviewer, as somebody playing it now in the future and looking back on it, I have to sort of say like it was there. You allowed me to do it. I know it's a kids game. I'm going to use it. Simple as that. So that's the so that's a story. That's the gameplay. It's fun. It's cheesy. I broke it, but I had fun. It's a simple, quick, and easy game, but I enjoyed it. So that's the main sort of gameplay. That's what you'd play if you played it yourself. If you had friends, or if you had brothers or sisters or cousins that came around to play, there is a multiplayer section. I did get a chance to play it with my brother. It's basically Smash Bros. That's the simple sort of premise of it. It's basically Super Smash Bros. Or they call it brawling. You get in a stage with different tiers of levels. You get the higher ground, the low ground, a bit of Star Wars there. And you jump from different platforms to kind of dodge other characters. We only played 2 1-on-1, but you can have as much as 4 So I guess it could get quite a bit hectic. But I play the multiplayer. It's not bad. Look, it's a simple version of Smash Bros. I'm not very good at Smash Bros type of games. My brother, because he button mashes, he beat the crap out of me many times. I will admit that he destroyed me. But again, like I said, I'm not very good at Smash Bros. So it is what it is. We played a few other sort of mini games. They've got a match the cards game. They call it. I think they call it Hong Kong. That's what it's called in the game, and it's basically you have these different tiles and you've got to sort of match. You have to get like 3 in a row, and the person it goes on different levels. As it goes different levels, it gets harder and harder. So you have some of the tiles will then immediately, as you go to swap them over to connect 3, they would change suit, so it won't work. So then you've got to sort of find others and you're against the clock, and whoever can go with the highest levels wins. I wanted that one because I've got a faster response than my brother. He was just sitting there spamming the A button, just swapping every single one that he could. He still managed to keep up with me again because it's not hard. It's just, it's simplified. So you can just button mash and you can win quite easily. But the multiplayer was fun. I enjoyed it for what it was. Again, if I imagine if I was younger and we had 2 extra people to play with us, the Smash Bros would be quite fun. There was a survival mode. I think there was a horde mode as well, where you just get waves and waves of enemies upon you. They're all simple versions of what you've seen done better and more advanced in other games. But that being said, they're still quite fun for what they are. And like Luxoflux didn't really need to put them in the game. By all means, they could just put the campaign in, and that's it. Because again, that's what a lot of movie tie-in games do. They just put in the campaign, and that's it. But again, this is around 2008. This is around the time and the age where every game had to have multiplayer. If you look back at any the old 360 days, there was a time, there was a year when nothing had multiplayer, and then the year after that, everything onwards had to have multiplayer. No matter what it was, no matter what type of game it was, whether it be for kids, or it be for adults, no matter what it was, every game had to have a multiplayer. I don't know why. It was just the thing. So this game had multiplayer. Didn't need it. Has it. It's not bad, actually. It's quite fun. It's quite enjoyable. And I would imagine if you played through the campaign and it only took you, say, if you're a young'un, it took you, say, like 3 hours to complete it, right? That's still, it's not that great, but at least you have a bit more substance. You'd be like, oh, well, my friend has Kung Fu Panda. We can play Kung Fu Panda together, and we can play the multiplayer together. Or I can play with my sister, or I can play with my brother and my cousins, and we can get a bit more fun out of it. So it's not great, but for what it is, and they didn't need to add it in, but they did. It extends the package. But let's call it what it is. This game is still a very short game, and for the money that they probably charged for it at the time, I'd probably be a bit disappointed. But it is what it is. It's a kids game. But overall, my thoughts were, it was good. It was simple, yes, for what it is and what it does. How I completed it, kind of broke it. I guess if I played it properly, might have had a bit more fun out of it, maybe. But I had a lot of fun just by belly flopping everybody. That to me that was funny, just knowing that I could do that and the game allowed me to do that. I got fun out of it that way. The kung fu was great. The whole sort of the storyline behind it, and you learn it going as Po, where you just slap people at first, and then as each level, as each level comes, and you play as Po, you can tell that he gets better and better at his kung fu, to the point where you're facing the final boss that he's a lot more proficient at it. So you do see that change there. Really, it's only a small change, but you do notice it. So it is fun. The kung fu's fun, the action's fun, but it's good. Overall, it's good, and for what it is, it's not bad. It's not the worst movie tie-in game I've ever played. It's not the best movie tie-in game I've ever played, but I enjoyed it. My little brother enjoyed it. We both had fun together. And that's enough, really. So overall rating, if I had to give it a rating, I would just give it good. Would I recommend going out and playing it on the 360? No, probably not, unless you've got like younger siblings or children, and you want to introduce them to gaming. Then by all means, get them this. It's more than likely a couple quid on eBay, CEX, that sort of thing. It shouldn't be a lot of money there. But saying that, as an adult, no. But kids, yeah. Go for it. But overall, it's good. Yeah, it's fun. There's not much to say about it, really. It's Kung Fu Panda. What do you expect? Also, it's not voiced by Jack Black. It's some of the characters. They did a None of the characters are voiced by the characters from the film, which is a shame. But the guy who does the Jack Black Poe voice, he's quite close. But yeah, you can tell they didn't put the budget. Activision made them make the game, but it was like, yeah, we ain't gonna give you no resources. But it is what it is. But yeah, it's Kung Fu Panda. Again, like I said, what can you expect? So that's it. That's all I can say. So on to the end, shall we? And that's it. That's all she wrote. She wrote a lot, but that's all she wrote. um, that was Kung Fu Panda. Hope you all liked it. Hope you enjoyed it. This new concept, this new idea, thing that I'm running with. Like I said, there's many more to come. There's many more that I've got. Like no spoilers, but I spoke about. If you follow me on Twitter, I did speak about one that I'm going to talk about in the future, which was Alien Clone Marines. I won't give anything away now. My thoughts and feelings on it. Um, but that's a movie. Well, was going to be a movie tie-in game, but because how bad the reception is, the game got, they basically took it away because it was meant to be canon. It was meant to be part of the overall story. But again, because the game was such a flop, they basically retconned that and just removed it. But I still class it as, because it was potentially planned as a movie tie-in, and because the game is and the story is very much a movie tie-in, I'm going to class it as a movie tie-in. But I've got many other games to come. Again, not all of them are Kung Fu Panda babyish. Some of them are more adult-ish sort of games. And if you like it, then I'll do more. Like I'm looking on eBay at the moment. I've got a list of loads of movie tie-in games that I know I can get for cheap, and ones that I wanted to play myself when I was younger, never got around to either getting or playing, or played the demos of and enjoyed. So yeah, there's a lot to look forward to. I hope that you all like this series. I hope you all like this episode. And yeah, there's more to come. So again, to keep you in to date and to keep up to date with what I'm doing and whenever I do another one of these, follow me on Twitter at Nerdstalgic_pod. You can find this podcast on Spotify, on Anchor, on Google Podcasts, Amazon Music Podcasts. If you're listening currently on Spotify, thank you. That's fantastic. But if you're listening to currently on Spotify, don't forget to give me a star rating from 1 to 5. It's right under my name when you go to my page or my profile, wherever it's called on Spotify. You see a bunch of stars. Click on them and give me a 5-star if you feel like this is the best thing you've ever heard in your life. I did Kung Fu Panda, the movie tie-in game, justice. Or give me 1 star if you feel like I didn't do it any justice and I've just besmirched the name Kung Fu Panda and I've ruined it and I've just rubbed it for the dirt. By all means, 1 to 5, from good to bad, whatever you feel like I've earned and deserved, by all means, give me that rating. You don't have to, but it's there if you want, and it helps me out immensely. Lets me know that I'm doing a good job. Yes, I did click my fingers then. But yeah, so that is all she wrote. That is the end of the ship. I'm at port now. And yeah, I hope you all had a fantastic day. Thank you for listening. And thank you for listening to another episode of the Nerdstalgic podcast with me. So cheerio, guys. See you later.